Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Man with a Mentor. I am the man, your host, Matthew Barnard. And in case you're wondering what a show called Man with a Mentor may be about, it's about me finding interesting people out there and how they develop the passion for the career that they decided to pursue. And today I have a great guest, and her name is Kirsten Pribula.
Hi, it's so great to be here today.
Kirsten Pribula is a deaf photographer and graphic designer with degrees in visual communications from Sinclair Community College and graphic design from Ohio University. Mm-hmm. How's that?
That's perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Yay. I'm just wondering what kind of projects you're working on now.
Right now, I am the director of artistic sign language for a children's holiday show that's upcoming at Sinclair Community College called Twas. And basically what that is all about is we bring all of different types of religion together on stage. And we also have shadowed sign language interpreters shadowing their hearing counterparts. So they're basically acting along with the hearing counterparts and acting and signing at the same time and just doing a very accessible show. And my responsibility for this is just to make sure that the English version is translated properly into American Sign Language for people to understand what is being said on the show. And if there's any specific signs that we're not really sure how to sign, then it's my job to kind of figure that out and try to figure out maybe this is not the right way we should sign it versus I think we should do it this way instead. And just like any questions that may pop up along the way too, versus like, can they see this person on stage when we're in the audience? Just making sure that everything is accessible.
Right.
And so that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm also going to be photographing that show too as a photographer. So I'm sort of playing two hats in one.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, that sounds fun. Let's go back to when you were little. And when did things start to hit you that this is what you wanted to pursue?
So probably when I was in middle school, honestly.
Right.
So just to kind of start from the very beginning, I lost my hearing due to autoimmune inner ear disease, and I was born hearing actually, and I lost my hearing around 3 years old due to that.
Oh, gosh.
And my audiologist, his name is Tom Lowland, he had a bunch of vintage cameras in his practice, and he had hung a lot of his work in his office as well. And I just remember admiring everything that he had,
Right.
and just saying, oh, I really want to play with that camera, and I want to try and experiment with all these different things with photography. And he was really the one who inspired me to become a photographer as I was growing up. But I really didn't get into it until I was in middle school when I first picked up or maybe stole my parents' point-and-shoot camera, just kind of experimenting with all different sorts of things. And I was just,
It was just in the cupboard. They weren't using it.
Yes. It was just kind of, picking up dust in a corner somewhere.
Right.
I was like, I'm just going to steal this and take random pictures of my feet or the grass or like the clouds and stuff like that. And I was really into experimenting with a lot of different types of mediums. I mean, I did a lot of art classes growing up. I went to summer school for like short stories, video, photography, and all different things.
Right.
And I mean, it was not just Tom who inspired me, but just also some of my family members as well. I mean,
Oh, nice.
my grandmother, she learned how to play the piano by ear. She never really learned how to sight read.
Right.
So she inspired me to learn how to play piano, and I got into, doing percussion in middle school too. And
Oh,
I was
nice.
in the Centerville Jazz Band as the
Oh,
first deaf member. Playing the marimba for 4 years, and
Oh, my
just
gosh.
been, challenging myself to break barriers and open doors and say, I can do this, even as a deaf person. Art, photography, graphic design, any sort of medium, that was my outlet growing up. Because, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of people to hang out with growing up because people saw me as like the deaf person that, could be a little weird or something like that.
Oh,
So just art was my outlet, and that was something that I could really express myself as a deaf person or a person with disability. And
Right.
so, I mean, my family was the biggest support system that I had growing up, and even getting into college now, where I've met one of my best friends and everything. They've really supported me along the way too.
Right. Let me ask you this. How did you know at 3 that something changed? Like, is it something that you don't really remember yourself, or you were like your parents told you later?
My parents really told me. I don't really remember what life was like being a hearing person at all because I was 3. I was very young, so I really didn't recognize myself as a person who was deaf until I was really in elementary school. I went to different schools throughout my childhood, kind of. I mean, I went to Centerville City Schools for a little bit, and then I went to Horace Mann Montessori, which is in Dayton, and they had a special program where they had a program for deaf students to go in there, being exposed to hearing students as well. So they have both worlds where they are just kind of blending in with the two. And I was there for a little bit, and then I transferred over to St. Rita's School for the Deaf for about a semester until they said that was, a little too smart, and they couldn't really challenge me. So I transferred back to Centerville City Schools, and I just pretty much stayed there until I graduated high school.
Oh, right. When you were in high school, did you think, like, where am I going to go to college, and how did you make those decisions? Like, what were important factors?
So high school was a little difficult for me. I had to do a lot of catching up with my English because my English skills was not as great as a deaf person, and I really needed to work on that. But also, I just remember, even in high school too, I had to really work hard to prove myself, prove my worth to a lot of people that I can succeed. And I kind of remember from a couple of different people saying that I shouldn't do, this career because I had to accommodate my deafness as a deaf person. And they think I should pick more of a deaf-friendly job to be able to succeed. And I didn't
What would
really
that be? I don't know.
I don't know.
Do people know what that means when they say that? Or do they just not know what they're saying?
They just don't really know what they're saying. It kind of just, I don't know. It just irritated me in some way, saying that I can't do this because it's not deaf-friendly for me.
Right,
And, I was like, I'm going to just go ahead and do it anyways, and I'm just going to prove you wrong.
Right.
So, yeah, I remember when I was a sophomore at the time, that was when we were starting to kind of figure out what career we wanted to go into. And I knew that I wanted to do something with the arts, really, because that was my niche, and that was the thing that I really wanted to do, but I couldn't figure out what kind of thing I wanted to do in the arts.
Right.
But yeah, I just remember my sophomore year, they started offering graphic design classes for the very first time. And I was taking art, normal art classes. Right. And I was like, that sounds very interesting. I didn't know what graphic design was at that time. So I'm like, I'm just going to sign myself up and see what it's all about. And before I knew it, I fell in love with it. I just, experimented with all different types of fonts and the colors and just the textures, and everything. And it just really intrigued me. And before I knew it, I was already in the advanced classes by my junior year. And it just kept taking on those classes. And I was like, that's what I want to do in college. So this is what I want to do in college, and just become, a professional graphic designer, because I get to play with color, play with typography, and just really learn about how graphic design can really change the world. Because the messaging behind, poster, for example, somebody can drive by on 75 and see a billboard that could inspire them to do this or that, or just an ad, just a simple ad. Anything could, help with that.
Technical changes, how do you keep up with everything that goes on? Because I feel like, you learn one thing and 3 years later the program's totally different, and or there's
especially with AI right now.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask about that too, if that's kind of taking away opportunities. But I know it won't. I'm saying it right now. It will not.
Yeah. I've learned to kind of embrace change a little bit when it comes to my work. I know that I'm very tech savvy, first of all. Even as a deaf person, I rely on technology. There's FaceTime, there's texting, and I've just, embraced that because it helps me out as a deaf person, and even with people with all kinds of disabilities, or a non-disabled person too. But definitely when it comes to artificial intelligence, AI, it does make me a little nervous because we don't know what's coming with that because it's just so brand new and we don't really know much about it. But I'm also trying to learn to embrace it at the same time.
Right.
I mean, I've had situations where when I'm working on a photo, I'm like, I wish I can just remove that person. And just like, I remember before we even had AI, it would be very time tasking to remove a person in the background and just trying to like match what's in the background in a photo, and it would take me like hours. And Adobe Photoshop introduced like a new remove tool where I'm like lassoing around, like basically meaning that I'm circling around that person and I'm telling it to remove that person from me. And this remove tool would basically take a look of the entire picture and then instantly remove that person, and then just like kind of giving me different options on what kind of replacement I want to like replace into that little spot that the person was there in the past. I try not to use AI too much because I want everything to look normal in a lot of my work. But there's some times where I'm just like, I just need this one little thing to be removed and not be a distraction in the photo that I'm trying to do. I'll use that for that instance. But for a lot of the times, I don't really do a lot of major photoshopping in a lot of my photography. The only AI I would probably do is maybe ChatGPT. And I mean, ChatGPT really helped me organize my thoughts because I'm very like chaotic in my brain, and sometimes I get a little overwhelmed with my thoughts. So I'm just like, okay, I need something to kind of narrow it down for me and just help me organize and figure out my flow, that type of thing.
The business world of networking, and is it more difficult like for a deaf person, or isn't it, or do you think if somebody is having difficulty like with communicating with you, do you think like it's on them, like, or do you like, how do you approach it?
I always try to tell them, first of all, I always try to make it easy for the other person and just make myself sound confident that the communications can be completely fine. I did years of speech therapy, and my parents knew that this is a hearing world, and I also knew right from the start too that this world is not really adaptable for people with disabilities and people who is deaf too. So we always have to adapt, and that's why I got cochlear implants. It helps me hear, and it also helps you too to be able to communicate with me. I kind of say that my implants are for both sides, not just for me, but also for you too, because not a lot of people are going to know sign language. And so why
don't they teach that like in school? Like,
I mean, they used to. I mean, when I was in Centerville, they used to teach American Sign Language, but I think they just kind of took it away because I don't think they really saw it as a mandatory thing anymore, but I'm not really sure. But I try to encourage people that if you ever come across a deaf person, even if you're like shopping at Target or Walmart, wherever you may be, it's always helpful to know just a couple of basic signs like, hi, my name is Kirsten.
I need some classes, but I will say one other thing that really gets on my nerves is people who like, oh, you can look up and learn anything on YouTube. Just watch some videos. I'm like, I think there's probably more to it than spending 8 minutes like watching a YouTube video. Like, it's a whole thing. So like, don't just think you can master sign language by hitting up YouTube or.
I try to warn people that if you go on YouTube and you look up some sign language, I try to tell them, and I also try to encourage them to look for a deaf YouTube creator, because that's where you're going to get like the most authentic sign language and really learn from a deaf person versus like a hearing person, because they are not really they're not really knowledgeable with deaf culture and deaf education, the history as well. And you really want to be exposed to the deaf community and the deaf culture, because that's our language, and we can help you with that. Like, we're not trying to, turn away people from learning sign language, but if you really are serious about learning sign language or just want to get into it, I would definitely recommend taking a couple of, American Sign Language classes at Sinclair Community College and any of the other community colleges out there. And I know sometimes once in a while they'll just offer ASL classes, like out of the blue for pretty cheap once in a while.
Right.
You can always look through Deaf Community Resource Center, where they do have a lot of connections on learning American Sign Language classes. And even my mother, both of my parents, they learn sign language from me too. And
Right.
a lot of my friends, I do teach them like some basic sign language as well, in case I can't understand anything.
Right.
And my best friend, David Sherman, his partner, Matt Meyer, his parents, his mother is a CODA, which means child of a deaf adult. Her parents is deaf, so she knows sign language. So I kind of have like this little circle of people that know sign language. But I mean, besides sign language, I use FaceTime a lot for FaceTime calls because I can't really hear over the phone the normal way that normal, I guess, hearing people would use.
Right.
And I also rely on text messaging a lot. And I also have an Apple Watch that's very accessible for me. So like if my phone is like in another room, I always have my watch on so that people can still get a hold of me in some kind of way. And
Right.
even me emailing too. And I always try to make it, easy for people to communicate with me.
You would think, being in a field of communications, that being deaf may be a potential downside, but go with me here. It also could open up anyone else's eyes that have all their senses to a way of communicate, not only like literally to everybody.
Yeah.
So how have you found that has become like a plus for you? Like
Oh,
there's ways
completely.
to communicate that don't involve
Oh,
like
yeah.
sound or this or that. Like,
Completely.
yeah.
I mean, when I got into this, I realized that, everything is visual. It's a visual medium. Graphic design is a visual medium. Photography is a visual medium. And I've learned to rely on a lot of my other senses besides hearing.
Right.
I mean, when I photograph things, I see the bigger picture when I just do it. I
Right.
see a lot of the details that a lot of people would miss. So like, for example, when I'm doing theater photography, I do a lot of theater photography for Beaver Creek Community Theater, which, by the way, they put on amazing shows on stage. I highly recommend you guys
Right. I
just go
saw-
out and just like watch them because there's a bunch of talented people out there. Things happen so quickly on the stage that people may miss some little details here and there, and my job is to kind of find those details and like just bring it through my photos and help people be like, what's happening here? Why is this photo seem so intense, or why is this person crying or something like that? I really want to go and see it, and so that helps bring in ticket sales and just helps people be interested in going to see the arts, because we need more people to come and support the arts, and
Yeah, we
especially in
do.
today's time right now.
Let's talk about social media.
Yes.
Are you using that to have a presence and to get your word out there? Or
Yeah.
is it a good
Yeah,
thing for
so
you?
yeah, so I use Instagram a lot, and I find Instagram as my portfolio for my photography, and I find it just very easy to just share a lot of my work on there.
Do you want to name drop?
Yeah,
Yeah,
my Instagram is Kirsten Lynn Studios, so it's Kirsten and Lynn with an E at the end and Studios.
Okay.
I do have a Facebook page, and that's also called Kirsten Lynn Studios as well.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah, you do Facebook for the older folks.
Yes.
Do you have a site that people go
I
to?
do have a
Let's
website.
name drop that too.
My website is kirstenpribula.com, just literally my first and last name. And I just also have my social media is also on my website, and I also show a lot of my graphic design portfolio and photography stuff on there too. And I also have a blog on my website, so I just talk all of the fun things that I do, my job, and everything.
All right. Yay. I love it. I hope people find you. Let's drop the name of that again.
So my Facebook is Kirsten Lynn Studios, and my Instagram is Kirsten Lynn Studios as well. And my website is Kirsten Pribula.
Right.
KirstenPribula.com.
.com. That's
I
right.
feel like everybody has a story to tell.
Right.
And I want to be
I
able
like
to help
that.
them tell their story through my work too.
Yeah. Yeah. So where can people find you again? Your website.
My
Say it one
website.
more. Yeah.
KirstenPribula.com
All
is my
right.
website, and my Facebook is Kirsten Pribula Studios, and then my Instagram is at Kirsten Lynn Studios.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming here and telling us everything about what
Absolutely.
you're working on. This is Kirsten Pribula, and you're watching another episode of Man with a Mentor. I just sunk into like a deeper voice. Did you hear that? You weren't expecting
Maybe.
that,
I'm
were
deaf.
you?
I can't tell.
Oh, see,
You okay?
I wasted it. All right. Thank you for listening or watching to another episode of Man with a Mentor. Thanks. Bye.